A pitch black night unfolds with the morning star as its only light.
Cool. Okay, mystery guest. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can see me on Twitch? Are you on Twitch right now? Okay, cool. All right, everybody. Well, let's see. Let's get on here. See what we can do. I'm gonna open up Twitch just so I can see. Yep. My channel, chat. Cool. Okay, guys. So here we go. All right, everybody. Let's see. We got this up right now. Chat's going live. All right, hold on a second. Let me make sure I'm doing this correctly. There we go. There we go. Now I got
from
it.
A far eastern land
Okay,
across
everybody,
the sea.
welcome to a very special and very unusual
potential.
evening. As you guys know, we're doing a special evening tonight. We decided
This
to do
potential
Shenmue
is
1
a power that could either destroy him or realize his will.
Reasons we're doing Shenmue 1.
His
And we have a
courage shall
very special
determine
guest
his
with us. He or she is right here. See my little laptop here.
The path he must
And,
traverse, fraught with adversity.
Let's
I await whilst pray. Destiny predetermined since
who do you guys
ancient
think? Who do you
times.
guys think that we have today going on in the chat?
A pitch black
wanna see.
night
What do we
unfolds
got
with
here?
the morning star as its only light.
Okay, so we got Debbie Rabai. No.
And thus the saga
we got a Paul.
begins.
We have who else? Is it Goro? Oh, that would be amazing, right? We gotta find Goro. I'm gonna tell you this, it's not Goro. Not Goro. So let's do a new game. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you at the very beginning of this scene. It's very important because I want to introduce to everybody Paul Lucas. What is going on? Oh, there it is. He's giving us the laugh already. Yeah, a little bit of chai.
Gotta start things off with a bang.
Oh yeah, definitely. So Paul, man, thank you so much for like coming in and saying hi. It's always
it's good to be here, Corey. Thanks for having me,
dude. It's a pleasure. I know that the other fans don't get a chance to see you as much, but that's why you're here today.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Pop in and say hello.
You're like one of my favorite people on Shenmue to hang out with. I don't know. I guess it's
All right.
it's you smell good or something. I don't know. What is that?
Say again, what?
I don't know. You just smell good, or I don't know why I love to hang out with you so much. You just...
I've got a nice digital aroma. That's what it is.
That's what it is. So guys, if for some reason you've been under a rock or something like that, and you're not sure who Paul Lucas is, of course he plays the infamous, the legendary Landy. Yeah, and of course he also plays the complete.
Right. And I believe there were a couple of other little incidental characters where I had to make some moans and groans and grunts. You know how it is, right?
Yeah, there's always... Oh, and here you are, my man. Wow, here you are. And looking fly, of course, with that
there we go.
Epic hair and wonderful...
Father! Where is the mirror?
Stay back, mule.
So yeah, did you just kind of like... I guess I want to ask you, like, how did you feel about that character? You just kind of saw how... maybe intimidating he was. What is it about him that made you want to do that voice?
Well, that's a pretty good question. I saw the character drawings, and you were there in Tokyo all those years ago, and we weren't quite sure what type of voice we would put to this guy at first, and so I just tried using my own voice, which didn't sound quite right, didn't match up really. And then I remembered my high school drama teacher from many years ago, and I remember him doing a villain voice. I can't remember what it was for. It's like a staged reading in a high school class. And I just thought it was so menacing but calm. He hardly did anything, right? And sometimes, as we say in the acting world, less is more. And so I just kind of remembered that voice that he had done. His name was Bob Henry from Everett, Washington, at Everett High School. And he's long gone now, but boy, was he a great acting teacher. And so I just remembered his voice as a villain, and I tried to go in that direction that he used back then.
Yeah.
And it seemed to work all right.
You know, it's interesting. You talked about how less is more. I mean, if you look at the character, he's so like in control the whole time. I mean, obviously this is a scene where anything can go wrong. I mean, we have obviously a very powerful martial artist here, but he just has no fear. He's totally in control the whole time, right?
Yeah, definitely less is more with Lan Di. He's so, like you say, he's got self-control and confidence.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the epitome of either the hero or the opposite side of that same coin, the villain. It just seems to work best.
It's interesting that you say that, because you know what it kind of reminds me of is kind of like Dirty Harry, right? Dirty Harry is a good guy, right? But he is so intense the whole time. But at the same time, he's exactly like you said. He's not doing a whole lot, but every time Dirty Harry speaks, you're like, whoa. This guy's serious.
I suppose it could be argued that we were kind of going down that same vocal path, right? Just that calm, whispery, confident feel, and it just seems to work for, like I say, for heroes and for villains. They just have to be completely in control.
What are you saying?
Yeah, and it's kind of like when I imagine different types of voices, it's like it's almost like a pushing, almost or maybe even like suppressing type voice, right? He Dirty Harry or Lan Di, they put weight or tension in the room just with their voice, and that's something that I think that you were able to bring out, is that with your voice you have that weight, like suddenly you have 50 pounds on your shoulders when he walks in the room, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. Of course, the actor has to put some kind of passion and some kind of feeling into that, motivation. But kind of like in horror movies, the best horror movies, I think, the same theory applies. Less is more. You let the audience generate their own belief about a character, right? So the less you say and the more the less you do, then the audience fills in those blanks with its own imagination. They kind of do half the work for the actor, really, if you do less.
So you're saying that your acting style was like the Jaws of voice acting? Is that what you're saying? Don't show the shark until the very end.
That's right. Yeah, just less is more. Let the audience do the work for you. I like that. He's the Jaws.
the Jaws of voice acting.
Yeah, me and Jaws, we're about the same size, I suppose.
Yeah.
We get the same bite.
Oh, that's what it is. It's the same. Yeah, it's the same bite. Oh, but speaking of
So
bite.
how have you been, Corey?
Oh, I'm great. I'm great, man. I was thinking of Bite. I was thinking about your other character, Chai, and I was like, wonder what it would feel like
Chai.
to get a
Yeah.
bite from him. That would just be he's probably got the same saliva as a Komodo dragon or something, doesn't he?
Yeah. Now with Chai, I did not go down the path of less is more, obviously.
Right.
I decided this manic, freaky
I'm fine.
weirdo is
And you?
he's
Are
manic.
you all right?
So, I kind of tried to
keep busy.
match my voice to
Otherwise, I'll
the
get
look
depressed.
and the style of his movement.
But you need
And
more
I think
tea.
we talked about this, I don't know, a few years ago when we had a reunion. You remember when it was me and you and Eric and Liesel. We all four of us got together on a live stream, or no, it was maybe it was a recording. I can't remember if it was a Facebook or I don't know.
Yeah, or it may have been another Zoom or something.
Maybe, yeah. Well, it was before. Or it was before
Really?
the time of Zoom. It was several years
jeez,
ago.
that's
I don't
right.
know.
So I
But,
keep forgetting that Zoom was
and,
just like this last year.
Yeah. It's a pretty new platform. But anyway, I forgot what my point was.
Oh, you're talking about the four of us got together.
Yeah. And I always kind of felt like I was the original Gollum, right?
Oh, man.
Because
Oh,
that
for sure.
The voice that we settled on for Chai, it turned out to be almost just like Gollum. And who knows, maybe somebody else long ago messed around with a voice similar to that too. It's kind of a certain technique that you get
Is everything
into
okay?
the back of your throat.
Don't worry, I'm
when
fine.
you're projecting that.
I want to ask you about that man.
Style, but
that man.
Have you ever talked to Andy Serkis about him stealing your
The
voice?
man called
and you ever give
Landi.
him like
What
problems
did he
with that?
talk with my father about?
That's right. How dare you, Gollum, you
And then they
weaseling
threw me
varmint.
out of the dojo.
But I remember
The black suits, catch the names?
the director.
I don't know. They came out of nowhere.
I
see.
I remember
Thanks,
him
Fukusan.
kind of making a comment that I kind of
If you
looked
remember
like
anything at
Chai.
all, be sure to tell me.
And you're like, oh, thanks, great.
Why? What you gonna
Thanks a
Yo,
lot.
son,
Yeah, that's
where you
something
going?
to aspire
do?
to.
You're not going out.
Were you wearing a
them.
thick jacket that day with like a big hump
Please
on it or something
don't.
like that, or?
Look what they did to Hazuki Sensei.
Yeah, I don't
They
know
killed
what
my
I
father
must have been hungover.
right in front of me. I will have my revenge.
No wonder it turned out so well.
I need to do this.
I know, right? You
For
thought,
my
man, I
father.
blew that audition. I went in and like did the stupidest voice ever. There's no way they're gonna cast me for that. And suddenly you come out with two of the biggest roles, huh?
Have you ever done that though? Have you ever done something that afterwards you thought, "Oh my God, what was I thinking? That was so terrible." And then you see the final product and you're pleasantly surprised. What? That turned out way better than it had a right to. Things like that happen all the time.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember they were talking about Harrison Ford, how he was so like pissed off the day they asked him to come in and read for Star Wars. He was just like, he didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
He wasn't even supposed to read, but they called him in because he was like working next door on some furniture or something. He was just all pissed off. He didn't want to be there.
Right.
And then they were
was
like,
a
"Oh my god!
construction guy,
Oh
wasn't
my
he?"
god! That's Han Solo, right?" Or I remember. Finn Wolfhard was like so sick that when he auditioned for Stranger Things, that he had to like record it in his bed, and he
really?
he
I
did
didn't know
his
that.
audition in bed. Like you can see the sheets all around him. His hair's all messed up and everything, and he does his lines, and he ended up getting the main role as well, right? So
Hi, Megumi. You got a kitten in there?
The casting agents, as you well know, there's a certain it factor that they look for, and a lot of
Is this your
actors
kitten?
fill their resumes with all kinds of achievements, which may or may not be impressive,
All
but
alone?
really, and your headshot may or may not be impressive. Any of that stuff is nice for the actor. It might get a foot in the door, but it might not. But really, ultimately, it comes down to the energy and the passion of that particular character that you put forward. That's really what it comes down to. So, your acting history is nice, but, show me what you got real time, and then we'll talk, right? That's always how it has worked out for me anyway.
Yeah.
What you can do in the audition, and that's it.
Or
I see.
or looking like Chai, I guess, is another is another thing, I suppose. But yeah, like so yeah, I don't know. I think sometimes, I think
Wait a second.
acting is a lot like, because you're putting so much of yourself out there. You're talking about how you have to what you give, right? What you show them, what you bear to these people who are determining whether you're going to be in there or not, right?
Yeah, and most of the time you've never ever met before, and so they're strangers, and there's a certain tension going on because you're not exactly sure what you're getting yourself into. You might not know exactly what they're looking for. Sometimes you don't quite understand what it is they're looking for, and oftentimes, as you well know, they don't even know themselves what they're looking for. They just
She's so
hope
tiny.
somebody will
But
hit the
already
mark
an orphan.
somehow.
Yeah. And I guess you're from what you're describing, I guess you're kind of like talking about the two characters that you actually voiced, right? Like you kind of said earlier that they didn't really know what Londi was going to sound like, right? So they kind
didn't
of
know what either character should sound like, really.
Yeah,
But,
it's
man,
close
It
to
all
there.
came down to experimenting and just
Megumi, you
kind of
need to be
messing
careful around
around
cars,
and then
too.
kind of tweaking, and then there's a glimmer
Well,
of
I've got to go
something
now.
that you've just done that sparks in the director, and they say, oh, that's interesting.
well,
That feels
when I think of a
like
good
we
one, I'll
could
let
be
you
going
know.
in the right direction. Let's see what you can do with that. Push the energy in this direction. Push the
Bye-bye.
energy toward anger. Push the
Yeah.
energy toward crazy, maniacal laughter, and see what happens.
Yeah.
Right? So they test you out with different ideas, and then you kind of hone it down. I think Chai happened in a matter of like 15, 20 minutes, whereas Londi, I remember that going on for probably I'm guessing
Mishima-san.
an hour and a half, maybe.
hello,
just
Dio.
tweaking and trying different Londi voices.
Oh, that's interesting. So
That
they
day of the
actually
incident,
had you in
did
there
you
for
see
about
some
an
men
hour and a
dressed in
half
black
before
suits?
you really
Black
found
suits?
that
No.
character, that voice.
If I'm remembering correctly,
Well,
yeah. I
did
mean,
you
we're
happen to
talking
notice
about
anything
20
unusual?
years ago, something like that.
nothing worth mentioning.
I'm looking for anything
That's
at
my
all.
memory.
I'm
I might be
sorry, Joe. The
exaggerating.
weather
Maybe it
was
was only
off. Did you
45
ask
minutes to an hour, but
Sumia-san?
it felt like a long time.
Is
That's
that
for
so?
sure. And I don't know what it was like for you with the main character,
Excuse
but
me?
Yes.
just kind of trying
What's
out
this
little different
nameplate
nuances.
say?
And Londi doesn't say very much to begin with anyway, so
Yeah.
that's what was
It says
kind of
Tajima.
funny. It was,
Does
in
it?
fact, now that I
I'm
really
trying to
remember
find the
recalling,
Yamamoto's house. But see,
finding the
my
voice took
eyesight is
longer than
bad, so...
actually recording his lines.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'll look
But
for
you
it.
know that's
Wait for
interesting
me
though,
in that
because
park up ahead.
it
You're
is
so
more
kind.
important to find that
Thank
character,
you
right?
so
It's not
much.
because his character has so much like gravitas, right, for the entire story. I mean, the only reason we're in the story the whole reason the character, the protagonist, is going on this journey is because of Londi, right? So I could see why they would spend a massive amount of time getting it just right, even if you only have whatever it was, 10 lines. I don't even remember how many you had, but
It was something like that. Yeah, it's not many. It's not very many at all.
I mean, I have here in the chat, let's see if I can find that.
Okay.
if in the chat, if you can tell me who you were, but somebody said that you are their favorite bad guy of all time. Think about that, man.
All right.
We've had thousands. Well, gosh, how many thousands and thousands of games have been made with voices in it, right? How many movies have we had over the decades? You know what I mean? We're talking a century now, more than a century. We've had movies. And somebody, people are telling me that
villains.
Yeah, people are telling me that you are their all-time favorite villain, and not because you have so much to do or so much to say, but because again, I'm kind of mentioning weight, right? The weight of your voice, the weight of your character, affected that person so much.
Yeah. Well, we hit pay dirt on that one.
Yeah,
it was probably thanks to my drama teacher and a stroke of luck. And,
guess I'll go get that lady.
And working with professionals like you and Eric and Liesel and Michael Neistat. So it only happens once in a while where you feel like everything's working just right. You know what I mean? Yeah, I like to think that I am doing a good job whenever I'm doing a voiceover. But when everybody else kind of is in the zone, then you really feel like you got something special there. And Shenmue was kind of that way. There was something about it that just felt a little different than the other games.
So, yeah, I want to touch on that because... people have talked to me about that a lot, and I've said that.
Thank you so very much.
The people that I met on Shenmue, and we really, a lot of times when you go in for a job, and it's like, I've done a lot of TV, and I've done a lot of.
Thank you for taking the time
I've been in
to
several
help
movies,
me,
and it's just like,
you
always, like you said, you always want to do a good job. You always want to do something that not only pleases your director and all that stuff, but you want to do good stuff for the people who are being entertained, right?
You want it to be top quality always.
Always, right? But there's something a little different about Shenmue where I care so much about it. Eric Kelso cares so much about it. You do, Liesel. Like a lot of the people who are involved, really, it holds a special place in our hearts. And like what is
it's
that?
Hard to put a finger on it, isn't it? I couldn't tell you exactly what it is.
It's you now.
It just it felt good in the studio. Working with you was really
much
fun.
better.
I remember.
But how did you know?
I remember you were wearing I think
you almost got ran over by a
you
car.
had this black leather jacket
it
on.
must have been Megumi.
Oh, really? Okay. So as you can tell,
driver was
I remember you used to have one.
I remember. It's like
Could you tell me about
I almost
what
wear
happened with that
almost
car?
exclusively black.
Sure.
But
this black
must
car
have-
came
it was a
flying
black
around
leather
the
jacket,
corner,
almost
over
like a
by
Fonzie
Sakuragaoka
jacket.
Park,
oh, nice.
and went
Okay,
towards,
sweet.
Dubuita. A
Something
black
like
car.
that. But
Did
I
you
just
see the
remember
license
you
plate
came
number?
into the studio.
Maybe if there hadn't been
and,
any snow. And
I
to make
thought, this
matters
guy
worse,
looks pretty
so-
cool.
well,
I
I'm
bet
glad
you
to
he'll
hear
be a good lead character. Corey Marshall. Do you remember when we met? We just kind of chatted a little bit about you had come from New York, right? New
Yeah,
York City.
yeah. I was living in New York City.
Right.
Well, just above the city at that point. Yeah.
Okay. Well, whereabouts were you? Were you in Connecticut or?
Oh no. So I lived up the Hudson line. I lived in a place called Sleepy Hollow. So do you know the story of Sleepy Hollow?
Yeah, the Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
I literally lived in that town.
Okay, Ichabod Crane. Okay,
That's
Ichabod
right.
Crane.
That's-
Crane.
Crane. Yeah. So the guy, Washington Irving, who wrote the book, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, lived just south of there.
Okay.
In this cute little
really?
house, where he lived in a place called Sunnyside, and right on the river. Man, that place was just fantastic. But yeah, he wrote the story about the neighboring town.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that spooky neighboring town, Sleepy Hollow.
And check this out! I lived on Elm Street in Sleepy Hollow. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
So
the nightmare began.
Yeah. Do you remember the address of the house in Nightmare on Elm Street that the girl? I don't remember, but
I don't remember the address.
So I lived in 23 Elm Street, and of course, a few doors down from me was 13 Elm Street, Sleepy Hollow, and I was just like, oh, that is the coolest address ever. I felt like if I ever had just a ton of money, I'd want to go back there and just own that house just for shits and giggles. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. That's pretty creepy. But creepy's cool. I like that. So, that's really cool.
And more creep in my family. My brother Trevor was born on my brother Trevor was born on Friday the 13th, and my mother was born on Halloween.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys, man, your family's the Munsters.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe we are. But yeah, so actually, I wanted to talk to you about
have things settled down
like
for
recording
you,
in the studio together.
Yeah.
Like
if there's anything I can do,
we actually
be sure
got to
let
be
me know.
side by side, even
Yeah.
when we filmed, or not filmed, but when we voiced the first.
Did you happen to see a black car
the
that day?
first exchange
A
with
black
us
car?
there in the
Yeah, it wasn't the kind of
where
car
you
usually seen around
freaking
here.
kill my dad
You
right in
know,
front of me.
A car like that splashed
Right.
mud on
I
the road.
remember. Yeah.
Really?
So that's
Yeah.
kind of unusual, right? Like
Did you see who
Yeah.
was in the car?
Normally they
No,
would
I
give
didn't.
us the script.
It was too
At least in
fast.
those days. These
But I
days,
heard a rumor
I'm doing
that
less
Tom
voiceovers.
had an
so,
argument with the people in the car.
Do you mean
I'm a
Tom
bit
at the hot dog
unfamiliar
truck?
with
Yeah.
how the mainstream are doing it, but back
Why are
then
you asking
in
about that
Tokyo with
car?
all the Japanese
No
games,
reason. See you later.
which were
Rio.
dominating the market like crazy,
Cheer up, will ya?
they
Yeah.
would
See ya.
just the first they would record everything in Japanese, and all the Japanese actors would come in and do everything. And how that process went, I couldn't tell you for sure, but I always heard that they would have a team of actors in, and they would kind of riff off of each other to the rough some of the storyboards, right? And then they would start to animate in the timing of to some of the voiceovers. So sometimes they animate and then they voice over, and other times they would voice over and then animate. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so in those days, then the English actors, such as you and myself, we would come in and voice, whatever script they gave us. And we didn't always have pictures to go with it. We didn't always get to see the scenes or the games. So we were oftentimes clueless as to what was the context for what we were speaking.
Hey, Rio!
We're just kind of taking pot shots in the dark. I hope this mood fits, right?
Tell me about those men in the black car.
What?
Nozomi told me
So,
you had words with the guys driving the black
Go ahead,
car.
go ahead.
Oh no! I was just thinking about how
They might have been the ones who murdered my father.
So the studio, the studios were great.
Please try to
we had
think.
these huge, almost
Right,
like
man, I'll
almost
try.
like band studios, right? Like you could fit a whole band in there. And we even had like
a lot of the studios were
Those
used
guys
for
in the black
recording
car.
music.
What were they like?
so it was like I remember even we had like 4 people at a time. In
What
there,
kind
right?
of coat?
It was
Yeah,
a deep green.
Yeah, I remember being in there with Michael
or
Neistat
silk,
and
like
Liesel.
something Chinese.
That's Lendi.
I remember being in there with
What
you,
happened?
but I don't
They
know if there
almost
was more
hit
than
one of my
more than
customers, so
just
I
us.
gave them a
can't-
piece of my mind. But that man, he
Michael
gave me this
Lischat?
glare. I never
Nate with
seen
an
such
N.
a cold stare,
Neistat?
man.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what he did. I'm assuming he worked on Shenmue, but he did so many voiceovers back then. But now he lives in L.A. He's always in touch with Liesel.
Do you remember what you don't remember? Where you say you don't remember if he was on, if he were on Shenmue or not?
If he was on Shenmue.
Do you
1,
remember anything else?
Can't quite
No.
remember.
Try asking Chinese people about Chinese.
About something
Do you
last
know?
week.
Sorry,
you know,
Mom,
Lisa and
sit,
I
I'll
did the
ask
same
them
type
by
of live
later.
stream that you and I are doing now.
Uh-huh.
And she mentioned something about Michael, and it sparked a memory because I worked with Michael quite a lot. He's a really great improviser, really good, just off the cuff, coming up with lines.
Yeah.
And oftentimes he would just make something up and they would keep it. You know, some actors are really
I'm
good
looking
at that
for
kind
someone who knows about Chinese people.
So I
Do you
kind of
know
remember.
anyone?
Michael,
Why don't you try the Chinese restaurant
Oh,
near
I
the
was just gonna say, I
drugstore?
kind of remember that
You
we
mean
did
the
actually
Ajiji?
have
Yes? I'm sure their
animation,
employees are
right?
all
Like
Chinese.
for I
Thank you
think
very much.
like particularly
yeah,
at the
I think we did
It's
for
about people from
Shenmue because
China.
I was looking
Do you
at
know anyone else besides the Ajiji Chinese restaurant?
One of our tour guides is Chinese,
Yeah,
but he's currently on a tour.
I see. Well, I'd better
design
go.
work to look at. I'm not referring to Shenmue. Those are just other games back in the 90s. We would just be given a script. See if you can make this work. They might describe the scene to us, you know, in words, and it would be translated. But we didn't always have something to look at, and for whatever reason, most likely it's just for budget, and they just wanted to record something quickly and get us out because then they pay us less.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Right. Yeah, you're you know, the more time, of course, you spend in there, the more money it's going to cost, right? So that's interesting though. But
and it gets expensive.
So I was lucky enough to come in at the late '90s to start my voice work. But man, you're talking about like I guess like mid or even early '90s.
I don't have time for
You
this.
had to build your
Get
characters
lost.
basically off of nothing. Right?
That's it. Your history.
Yeah, off of nothing, and we were making it up. Oftentimes in those video games of old, you would. I mean, even now, some video games are that way. There's something kind of weird about the acting. It's a bit stilted. It feels plastic and forced and contrived. You know what I mean? And well, not a very good acting job, but there's something about it that's endearing. That makes you kind of
From now on,
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
you better get out of his way.
It's funny, you know.
It's like old 1950s TV shows where people are clearly not acting like normal real life people, but there's something likable about it.
You know, if you were to watch something like a very famous movie, like Casablanca, right? Like Casablanca, when they talk in Casablanca, they are like rapid fire talking back and forth. Like it's not conversational at all. It's very very different.
It's just nothing but script driven, and so because it's driven by the words of the script, it's almost like narration. It's just storytelling.
Yeah.
And film noir like that is very, very known for that kind of.
I don't have time to play your little
acting
games.
and just getting the story out.
Yeah.
But it's,
I'm sorry.
like I said,
Don't mess with me again.
For
Got it?
many audience members, it's very likable. It's of course not realistic, but you can attach yourselves to the story really easily.
Hey, are you okay?
And it's funny because I've heard some people tell me like, oh yeah, you know, so Shenmue 3 was done all here in Los Angeles, and I've heard so many people tell me like, oh, I really just prefer the voice acting in Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 2. Well, first of all, I have to tell you, everybody loves Paul Lucas. Like, I haven't heard anybody, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's like, oh my God, you know, I love Paul. He's the best.
Well, they know what they're talking about, yes.
So, yeah, I've always heard people say that. But, where I'm supposed to go is closed. Let's see, what time is it?
They're not open.
Oh, my thing is in the wrong area. Oh, I'm going to have to wait for a little while. But, yeah, it's like, this is what I was going to say. You were talking about how the voice acting is a little bit, I don't know, a little bit weird, a little bit stilted, a little bit, I don't know, stylized or something, you know?
It's unrealistic. It's very stylized.
So many people have told me I prefer the voice acting in Shenmue 1 and Shenmue 2 over Shenmue 3. You know, and I'm like, that's
I've been
great.
told that before too.
You know, yes.
No.
It's just like people's preferences.
And perhaps it's because the first one of anything is always a bit more special. You know, the very first time you went to, for example, Niagara Falls. Wow, what an impression it makes. It's so special. And then when you go back there for a second time, and this could be any place, Grand Canyon, but the second visit is like, yeah, this is still pretty cool, but it's not quite the same excitement that it generated the first time I ever saw it. And I think maybe gaming experiences might have something like that going on. The first time for anything is always the best.
Yeah, it's funny. You know, actually, you know, it's interesting because I find in gaming that it's both ways. It's both ways for me. Sometimes I'll go back and play a game that I thought like, oh, because the pixels were so, you know, it was so low technology. Well, I mean, it was high technology at the time, but I mean, for today's games, there are all these little 8-bit characters running around, and my imagination was just outlandish. You know, I was like, oh man, I remember thinking about all these huge landscapes and all this, you know, and then sometimes I'll go back and play a game, and I was like, oh, that's actually better than I thought it was. Actually, I don't know why.
Yeah, sometimes but and I like the games that do have a really imaginative landscape, and that's something about Shenmue that's kind of cool. It's the places it goes.
It's closed.
And you know the.
Oh, well, I think we just lost Paul. Oh, you know what, guys? Shoot, I realized that I'm using my other Zoom right now. Oh, you know what, guys? I'm going to jump on another Zoom. Shoot, guys. Sorry. Of course, we're going to run into some issues, right? A little technical difficulties. I forgot that my Zoom here is actually no longer. I didn't pay for the. I didn't pay for the unlimited Zoom. That's okay. I'm gonna get it up here in just a minute. So, open Zoom, connecting. See, I'm already connecting. We're gonna get Paul in here in just a second. Okay, so here's me. Gonna do full screen. Okay, we're gonna get Paul in here in just a second, guys. So, yeah, thank you everybody for joining me this evening. It is a lot of fun. I'm glad. So does this open up at 10? Do you guys remember? Does this open up at 10? Am I in the right spot for the Chinese people? This is the correct spot, right? Oh, wait, I need to go... No. I'm not in the correct spot. That's okay. Let's go ask some Chinese people about Chinese people. Bar. Karaoke. Pizza. Shoot, guys. I have to remember where to go. It's back here, though, isn't it? Let's see. No, that's the bar again. Crikey. Okay, so we're gonna get Paul on here in just a second. But in the meantime, yeah, looking for Chinese people. Oh, I know. We could also ask over here. I was going to Russia China shop, but that's not correct yet because I need to Am I lost, guys? Am I lost again? Oh no, here we go. No, that's the bakery. Shoot. Patches and embroidery. Travel agency. Well, let me get back online so you guys can help me out. Left, left, left. Don't know the voice of the. Oh yeah, left, left, left. Actually, Du Lin. You know what would be great if we could actually find the voice of Du Lin. Let's do that. That'd be great. Let's see. Where are we? If you guys remember, one of the Chinese. Man, I could have sworn it was over here though. One of the Chinese shops. Is it over here on the end? I don't think so. Oh yeah, so Du Lin is a guy named Michael. So it'd be really cool if we got him in the stream as well. If you guys would like to see the guy who plays Du Lin in our stream, let me know, because I think we could track him down. That'd be a lot of fun. Guys, I feel really silly right now. It's funny, like this is not a big place. Oh, except I still get a little bit turned around. I still get a little lost sometimes. That's the thrift store. Antiques. I'm just gonna try going in here because I'm just a little bit lost right now. Oh, we gotta get these moves, don't we, guys? This one's 1,000 yen. I don't even have that. Oh, should I buy it now? How much do I have? Mud Spider. Actually, that's one of my favorites. I do like Mud Spider. I'm gonna do that one. How much do I have? Buy.
Can I have
yes!
this?
Yes.
I just spent all my dough.
Thank you very much. This is the Scroll of Secrets. My grandfather said read this and practice, and you'll become stronger.
Now I'm gonna have a really hard. Oh, I have 10,000. I got plenty. Let's buy all the moves right now. Let's just go over here. Ine-san's gonna be really like, she's like, come on. He goes out looking for the murderer and comes back with no money. And they're all martial arts moves.
Can I have this?
Yes. Thank you very much. I don't understand it myself. I'm sure you'll become stronger by reading this.
Oh, here we go. Okay, everybody. It looks like we have Paul back. Let me pin him. There we go. Paul, I my apologies. I actually used the wrong Zoom, and it kicked you out. He was like, "Oh, Paul's been on too long, bro. I kicked you out."
We've heard enough of this clown. Get him out of here.
I know, right? They wanted more. I don't know. They thought. I don't know. What did they want from you? They wanted more chai, I guess. That's what it was. They
if you want chai, you've got it.
Can I have this?
Yes.
Seriously,
Thank
man.
you
Oh, that
very
is
much.
like
I
the
don't
best.
understand it
The best.
myself. I'm sure
Or maybe
you'll
they
become
heard the word
stronger by
chai and they
reading
thought it
this.
was something delicious to drink. I don't know.
Oh, they headed right straight down to Starbucks. Oh yeah.
So right now I'm buying a whole bunch of buying a whole bunch of martial arts moves. So when you saw Shenmue, what did you think about it? Did you think like, oh, this is interesting? I mean, did you get a chance? You didn't, did you? You just saw some of the animation. That's all.
That's a very difficult scroll.
I just saw some of the animation.
Practice martial arts.
I did hear
it's quite valuable.
some of the. I heard what's your character's name?
Yeah.
I heard his voice in Japanese. I heard the Japanese guy.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember his name. Do you remember?
Another time.
I just got out of it. Gotta get this movie.
The Japanese actor
so,
who played
Matsuhira. Oh god! Oh no! The fans are gonna crucify me for not remembering.
You know what? You have worked with so many actors as if you're going to remember every single one of them. It's too hard to remember.
You forgot Yu Suzuki just a minute ago, so
yes.
I'll
Thank you very much. As my grandfather used to say,
Matsuhira. Is that his name? Guys,
oh
man, they're gonna crucify me. Let me see what people.
Matsuhiro. Is it Masahiro? I can't. Yeah, I'm not sure. I just remember hearing his voice. I remember hearing his voice, and I thought, well, this sounds kind of cool. And we saw a couple of fight sequences, and that's about it, really. And then but they did have some artwork that they had showed us.
Oh, nice! So you got to see some of that.
Yes. Thank you very much. That's a very difficult scroll, but to those
Japanese,
who practice martial arts, apparently it's quite valuable.
They are just some of the best artists in the world, are they not? I mean,
their
design, their mind for creative design work is just so special. Like we were talking about with film noir, it's very stylized, and Japanese anime has that same coolness to their design work that's just really, really great, I think.
This seems to be really powerful.
I love that Japanese
looks like mindset.
A leg move. They love quote unquote cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right though.
Looks
it's
like a hand move.
It has to be so not only are they drawing from their culture and their history as a people, but you're right. It has to be a certain style,
cool
right? It really does have a coolness.
It appears to be a throw move.
You don't really experience in other places. It's very distinctly Japanese, isn't it?
Very distinctly Japanese. I mean, you just know it when you see it. That it's most likely going to be Japanese. And some Western artists copy that style, and not even Western, but other Asian artists will copy that style. And lots of people can get the style, if they work at it. I have a lot of friends who used to be animators at Disney. And a lot of them were big fans of the whole Japanese anime style. Oftentimes, the animation in Japanese anime isn't necessarily really smooth and fluid movement, which is something that Disney is always striving for, is really excellent movement in their animation. But Japanese artists don't necessarily count that as the be-all and end-all of good animation. For them, it's so often more about design.
Yeah,
and
intention, right? Intention.
Yeah. You can tell a story just with a picture book, right? Just a series of still pictures can still tell you a story.
Right.
So just because it's smooth animation doesn't mean it's actually telling you the best possible way to tell a story.
Right.
So, Anyway,
Nozomi.
that's my 2 cents worth on Japanese animation.
So
Not that I'm an expert, but that's it.
Have
You know,
heard
you get
any
a
new
sense for
information?
these things after
The
a
men
while.
who argued with Tom were from China.
What's
China?
interesting? I never asked you
Did that have
why
anything
you
to do
ended
with
up
what
in
happened to your
Japan.
father?
Why were you there? What were
Yeah,
you doing
so
there?
I want to try and get some
I
information.
mean, unless you
from
were
some
born
Chinese people
Japanese, I
around
don't
here.
know. Are you Japanese?
I should ask?
I don't. Maybe
Maybe
I'm assuming too much.
I had a...
How about
Sorry,
Hattie's
go
I
ahead.
said maybe I'm assuming too
across
much.
from Hattori Sporting Goods?
No.
Good idea.
I
See you later.
didn't ever really expect me to end up in Japan either. One of my first jobs out of university was working as a production assistant. And you being in TV and film, you know exactly what a production assistant is, a PA.
Yeah.
And I had always been interested in acting and taken lots of acting classes and took drama and theater in university as well as TV production. So I kind of was hedging my bets for a career. I figured if I can have other skills than just acting, maybe that will increase my chances for working in entertainment. So that's why I learned television production in university, and I did acting there as well. I went to Washington State University over in Pullman, Washington. Anyway, one of my first jobs was working as a PA at Lucasfilm. And yeah. And I know my name is Paul Lucas, but
but no relation.
Well, in fact, one of the wise guys in the animation department where I worked, I was just a helper there, and one of the wise guys there would always
100 yen.
call for me over the intercom. In those days, we didn't have cell phones and iPhones because we're talking about the late 1980s,
Right?
Early 90s, and so they had an intercom system, so loudspeakers placed around the complex of Lucasfilm, and where I worked was a place called Industrial
I should
Light
try it
Magic.
once.
It's still going. They win all kinds of Academy Awards.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I would be out and about doing my rounds for something, and if this one guy ever needed me in the animation department, he would get on the intercom and say, "Paul, not in the Will Lucas. Paul, not in the Will Lucas. Come do animation." What a wise guy. But yeah, so clearly no relation.
One game, 100 yen.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. You didn't get your job being the brother or cousin or something like that.
Once.
No. That would have helped, but no, I didn't get it that way. I had a really good friend, an old high school friend, who was working there as an animator, and a special effects animator. His name is Gordon Baker, and he has been a really successful animation artist. He worked on The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, wow.
Almost years ago.
One of my all-time favorite movies. I love that movie.
Yeah, he did a lot of the special effects or visual effects for Nightmare Before Christmas, and in fact was nominated for an Academy
QTE
Award.
title.
Wow.
One game, 100 yen.
But that year, unfortunately, there was another little special effects movie that had just come out called Jurassic Park.
Ooh, Jurassic Park. That's tough. That's tough.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to beat that.
Yeah, man. Well, Jurassic Park is still great to this day. So yeah, a little hard to beat.
Yeah. I mean the detail that they give the dinosaurs, the weight and the skin and body shifting. That was one of the breakthrough films for computer animation.
Oh, absolutely,
really.
Absolutely. It's interesting that you said that you kind of were hedging your bets. I've often told people the same thing. They've kind of given me my. They're like, "Hey, what's your advice for being an actor?" And I kind of told them the same thing. I was like, you know what? Don't say no to work.
Ever.
Ever. And I told them, like, also do other things. I said, you know, I got a job because I worked at the LA Opera, and I was doing stage work there, and it was like we were just extras in the opera, right? And so we were not singing, but we were the guys who were standing around.
I've done it myself.
Oh, great! Oh, so we were supernumeraries. That's the word. And one of the guys ended up calling me up and was like, "Hey, Corey, a friend of mine wanted me to do this job, but you know, I just really don't have time. And for some reason, I thought about you. I thought that you'd be really great for this job or whatever." And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. What is it?" And he's like, "Well, it's this company that is gonna start producing music videos and stuff like that." And it ended up being Brett Leonard, who was the director of Virtuosity, Lawnmower Man, worked with like really huge names all the time, and he started a company called Megatrend. And we started doing videos for Capitol Records, and we were producing like movie length music videos for these artists that so they you know, back in the day when you had an album, I mean, not like today where it's all just singles, right?
Right. No, you actually had a compilation of works.
Right. So Brett Leonard had the idea of, oh, well, people still make albums, right? They still make a whole album, but a lot of times you don't hear it. So his idea was to get their entire work that they produced for the record label, you know, because each time they drop a record, it's got a whole bunch of songs on it. A lot of times people don't get to hear it. So his idea was to take that whole album and make a feature-length story, and not just include the music like it's a soundtrack, but really have the music that drives the story. It's almost like like another character, you know.
A little bit like the movie Fantasia. Fantasia 2000.
Right? Exactly, right? So the music is really sort of dictating what's going on.
Yeah. And, you know, similarly, in voiceover work,
100 yen.
like I say, sometimes they start with the voices. You
I'll try
act out the voices and let the actors really work off of each other, and then you create and animate to that.
Yeah.
Because it's more natural and real.
So,
likewise with a soundtrack, if you start with the music that you're interested in, or that you feel that the director has chosen, then you create animation or artwork or whatever it is, you create to the music. You are inspired and driven by that music.
Yeah. So
there's different ways to start a project, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. And so exactly what you just said. He just said, "Hey, let's start with the music and build the story, because there's a love song, there's a breakup song, right? There's all kinds of music that happens, all kinds of stories that happen within modern music." So he said, "Hey, let's take that album and we'll create a story around that." And I ended up getting that job just because I was an extra at the opera. You know what I mean? Like, we weren't getting paid anything. It was like $50 or $100 a show, or maybe $100 a show. So it wasn't a whole lot. But
well, I've done freebies,
right?
And I've done dirt cheap jobs that took a lot of time and almost no payoff, and you wonder to yourself, "What am I doing?
What am I doing? Why do I accept this when I have to eat ramen noodles now for a week and a half?"
Cup of noodle, oh boy.
Oh man.
Again.
But
I was gonna finish telling you how I ended up in Japan.
Oh yeah, yes, please.
No, just to wrap it up. I know I ramble on sometimes a little too long, but so I was at Lucasfilm, met some Japanese filmmakers who were there making a commercial for one of the big companies like Panasonic or Sony or one of those. I can't quite remember which one it was. Mitsubishi maybe. And they were making a commercial for it using special effects, and it was all cool. And I got to talking to him one day, saying, "Oh yeah, I like to act, and I'd love to act in a Japanese commercial someday. That would be so cool." I was just schmoozing is all I was doing.
Yeah.
And they said
another great talent to have.
Yeah. Well, they told me that, we get a lot of Western actors over in Japan, in Tokyo in particular, who come over and do work for Japanese companies. And I thought, that kind of put the idea in my head. Later on, probably that same year, a friend of mine was an international runway model, and he was in Japan doing some modeling for this big fashion show, and he had an agent over there, and he called me up and said, "Paul, you should come over here. It's really awesome. You can't believe Tokyo. It's so incredibly fascinating. There's all kinds of things going on and so many people, and there's just tons of work in entertainment here." And he really started to get me thinking about visiting Japan. So I went, saw him. Turned out there was an audition while I was there for Panasonic Handycam, if you remember those.
Yeah.
And it was I had to do a stunt fall for this commercial. I was a dweeby, nerdy little guy, which I almost always am, and but I had to stumble and fall, step in a bucket, and grab onto a lamp and fall, crash. Well, painting falls on my head, and I guess I was just the right clumsy idiot to that fit the role just right. And so they cast me in that commercial. That turned into a whole bunch of other commercials, international ones for. Yeah, these are commercials that you'd see at the beginning of movies, right? Sometimes you see these funny, Anyway, that's how I ended up in Tokyo, and I stayed there for, nearly a dozen years working on it. I would travel around a bit. I'd go to LA, where you are. I'd go to Seattle, where my family is, and I just kind of lived my life that way for quite a few years. It was really fun.
Wow. So you kind of just went there, on a whim, got the very first audition that you ever did, and then you ended up staying there for, like, how long?
Almost a dozen years.
Wow.
It was over 11 years. I had an apartment there in an area of Tokyo called Ebisu.
Oh, yeah.
Ebisu is very near Shibuya. Maybe some people know Shibuya, quite a famous area where the big giant crosswalk is.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the one that probably everybody's gonna recognize when everybody is crossing that massive.
While I was there, I got into the Japanese Imperial Theater project. That was with Michael Neistat, whom I mentioned earlier.
Oh, wow.
Great actor, by the way, Michael Neistat. He was really good. And anyway, so we toured with this big epic play. It had samurai swordsmen in it. And
wow.
It was a period play, it took place like 150 years ago, the story did.
Yeah.
And I just played the part of a drunken American sailor.
Oh, you were a sailor? I'm always looking for sailors. In this game, I spend like a majority of my time looking for sailors, and you were one.
Have you named her yet?
I was a drunken sailor with a bright red nose.
Oh man, guys, did you know that Paul Lucas played a drunken sailor? Wow. Wow.
How about Chibi?
After all, she's kind
curiously,
of small.
I've had a little bit of practice at that. Not as a sailor,
but a little of the drunken part. That part wasn't hard to.
That wasn't hard to emulate.
You're like, I got this part. But now,
I gotta play drunk. I think I got that.
Did you have to do any like research on that? Did you have to like get into character before you went to work? You're like, hold on, I gotta get into character.
Yes, I studied hard on that one. Oh boy.
But oh, that's interesting. So how did you end up in? You told me already, but I'm saying it for the fans. How did you end up in Singapore?
Well, in Singapore, I moved here. After Tokyo, I went to New York City and lived there for a while. Well, just like right. You, just north of New York City.
That part I forgot because I was like, oh man, we were like literally next to each other. We were living in the city at the same time, like nearly neighboring cities. I forgot about that. And I was like, oh my God.
I think we probably could have conceivably worked together over there, but because I moved there right around the turn of the century, and then ended up coming to Singapore in about 2007. And the reason I came to Singapore was for my wife's job. My wife got offered one of these really great jobs she's always wanted, and it was an offer too good to refuse. So, wow. And I didn't really want to come to Singapore, if I'm being honest about it, because I was having a great time and getting plenty of work in New York City. But, sometimes you got to make that sacrifice.
Yeah. So did you meet your wife in New York, or did you meet your wife in New York?
I met my wife. She is British, and we met in Tokyo.
Oh, wow.
Which is kind of... Yeah, talk about going global. I mean, an American guy living in Tokyo marries a British girl well, let's see. We got married in England, and then we lived the first few years of our married life in England. In Tokyo, and then moved to the New York City area in a New York City suburb. She continued working, doing her job. She is a music teacher. So we're a bit of an artistic, creative family because I'm a performer. I act and direct, and she plays music. She can play flute and piano, and she's a great singer. She also did a little bit of voice work in Tokyo.
Maybe I can practice here. Think I'll warm up a bit.
A little bit for NHK. Did you ever do work for NHK?
I did not, but yeah, that's a massive.
I guess you were a contract actor. You would show up and just do a lot of character work, right?
So yeah, well, I mean, the only reason I was in Japan was they flew me there for
I remember
for Shenmue. So yeah, the whole time, because they had me doing Shenmue from like morning to night, basically 5 days. You know what I mean?
That's right. I remember you one day when I came into the studio. You were like just dog tired. You had been really? Working a lot of hours. This is all flooding back to me now, and I remember you were sitting in your chair just like, I don't know how long I can take this. Can't take it anymore.
That's funny because I mean, if you think about it, I was like what 20 at the time, so for me to be that exhausted.
I think so. You were a young kid. I remember you coming in that black leather jacket, and you. I mean, I think everybody thought you were Japanese cool.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Well, that's good. That's good to know. That's good to know that I didn't come off as a dweeb or something like, oh man, this guy's trying a little too hard.
No. You were Mr. Cool Man. That's
oh, nice.
Cool dude.
Okay. All right. Cool. That's good to know. All right. So, all right. But see that.
And on that note.
Okay. Great stream. Thank you for that. That's funny. We were just talking about video games,
I do have Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we're just talking about video games and how some video games have better memories, and I guess you have a better memory of me than I do. You know, so that's good.
Yeah, you made an impression, dude. You made an impression.
Nice.
You were good, really good.
So how are we doing on time?
I am gonna have to. I'm gonna have to bust a move, I'm afraid.
Wow. So Paul, thank you so much, dude.
That's enough.
Thank you for so much for coming and hanging out with the fans. Fans love you so much. They've always been asking about you and all that kind of stuff. Man, we were having such a good time. I was gonna ask some of the fans for questions, but man, we were just like, it's funny.
Why don't we do this again, and then we'll get the fans back for questions.
Oh,
Q&A.
Yeah, guys, so think about all the stuff that you want to ask Paul for next time, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I've got to cut and run, but I have to be somewhere. I have an appointment.
Excellent. No problem. So, so everybody, thank you again, Paul. Thanks for coming, man, and I will, we'll do it again. We'll set it up. I'll tell the fans about it. It'll be awesome.
Yeah. We'll get our producers to set it up again. It's great. I love hanging out with you, dude. It's really fun.
I know.
We'll do it again.
Seriously, like you said, somehow the Shenmue cast they get along so well, and it's something special.
Special.
Something magic. Some kind of magic, right? All right, Paul. Well, have a good. I guess it's afternoon for you. Have an excellent afternoon, and we'll see you next time.
Saturday afternoon for me right now. Yeah.
All right, man. All right. Okay. Well, thanks again, and we will see you next time.
All right. Thank you, Corey. It's so great to hang out. We'll do it again.
Excellent. All right, man. See ya.
See you later.
Wow. Okay. Cool, guys. That was awesome. So yeah, I'm gonna cut it myself. I'm just gonna say again, everybody, thanks for coming and hanging out with me and Eric. Oh, Eric. See, I'm already thinking about the future. Could we possibly get Eric Kelso in the chat as well? Could Eric come visit us? I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you want it to happen? If you guys want it to happen, let me know, and we'll make it happen. But yeah, thank you so much to Paul for hanging out with us. That was great. And time flew, guys. Let's see. We've been on this for an hour and 22 minutes. It feels like 5 minutes. It literally feels like 5 minutes. But, yeah. So, I will be streaming again tomorrow. So, 10 a.m. Los Angeles time, I'll be doing Shenmue 3 tomorrow. And that's back to our regularly scheduled program. So until then, guys, let's see. It'll be about, I'll see you guys in about 12 and a half hours. All right, everybody. I will see you then. Have an excellent, excellent evening, wherever you may be.